The Treubig Show.
This is the time for pleasant discussion in a thoroughly relaxed mood.
Well, okay, hotshot.
Is it possible for you to shut the up for 10 seconds?
What's up, everybody? My name is Treubig. This is Treubig Show. Here we are, TreubigShow.com. Phone number 855-873-8244. One to listen, two to call. Right. Broadcasting live, TreubigShow.com, YouTube, TuneIn, all the usual places. Every time I go to say that, it reminds me of the old days when I used other domains. And I have to constantly be thinking, because I said it so many times during those days that when I say broadcasting live, there used to be a list of domain names that I would say, and now I just have a couple. When I say it, I think I stopped saying it for a while. So it is what it is. Again, 855-873-8244. One to listen, two to call. Broadcasting over the phone as well. So the last week, all the gas stations and places have been short on pocket change. So I've taken it upon myself to go to all of these places and pay with nothing but pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. I just went to the gas station. My bill was $24. It's $23 and some odd cents. Paid the whole thing in pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. More dimes and pennies. I paid $3 in pennies. I had to count out 300 pennies. And then I think I did another $1 in pennies because the place actually bought change for me. So what I do is I keep a gallon jug of change in my car, and every time I go into a gas station, I've counted out $150, about $140, $150 in change in the last week, and that's what I've bought at stores. Is with change. I come in with this bulging pocket of change, and I'm doing it now because for the longest time I've just been collecting change, not on purpose, because I use cash for everything. It hasn't been on purpose. It's just when I get home, I just throw the change in a bucket. Now I'm spending it, and the reason why I'm doing it now is because I don't get looked at as an asshole anymore. I never took a whole bucket of change because I didn't want to be that guy who pays $30 in change. Now the places are asking for it. They're like, give us your change. And I fill up all their drawers full of change. So it's just a perfect opportunity for me to unload the years of change that have been thrown in this bucket. And that's precisely what I'm doing. I have absolutely no need for any of this change, and I'm just going to take advantage of it and of the situation, of the coronavirus situation, and unload it all. Hi, caller. You're on the air. What's happening?
Hey, what's up, brother? It's the same dude again.
All right. What's happening? Welcome back.
Not much, man. Hey, did you see that video of that bomb or whatever happened in Beirut?
Yeah, I did. And the aftermath, too. It pretty much blew up the entire capital of Lebanon, correct?
Yeah. And then, I don't know, I think I saw Trump tweeted, like, may have been an attack. And, like, it better have been an attack. I hope it's an attack. And just because he tweeted that, like, but I don't know, that kind of irked me a minute ago. I like Trump, but I hate when he tweets shit like that.
Well, a lot of things that he tweets, people get outraged about, and then it turns out, oh yeah, that was actually true.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
He has insider information, and that no one else has. And when the media attacks him without even looking into it, just because they think it's outrageous, and it turns out to be true, I find that quite hilarious.
Oh yeah. And this, I mean, I'm blown. I was watching the I think it's named Tim Pool, like IRL stream earlier, and like they're talking about how the blast on this kind of went like straight upward instead of more like outside, like a bomb would, like spread outward. And they found some like explosion that happened in Texas City. It was on like a Wikipedia page. And it said like a very similar amount of ammonium nitrate as I guess what was reportedly at this place. I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm blown. But I don't know. It was very interesting. I forgot the whole point of that. Oh, yeah. This place supposedly had even more ammonium nitrate than that explosion. And just from the video, if you look at it, most of it goes upward. Because the amount of shit that was, like, bomb shit that was there, like, it would have taken out just buildings. Like, this would have been literally like, you know, fucking blocks have been leveled, you know? I haven't seen too many of the pictures, but, I mean, once again, I am blown, so that is my disclosure. But...
Well, so is Lebanon. They're blown, too.
Yeah. Touche, that was a good one. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw it. It literally was an hour ago when the news reports are coming out. The state run media, third-party information. I forget who said it, but someone said the state-run media said it was a fireworks store. I just don't believe it because a fireworks store doesn't produce that kind of blast. There was something else. And then there was another one that said it was a chemical warehouse. No one. This is the problem with things that, with information that comes in the moment, is that it's usually all speculation, even if it's being presented as fact. And so I take none of it as truth at this point. Even days down the road, when an investigation's going on and you get little bits of information, it's still speculation. This is going to take a long time for them to figure out exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah. And I think the last time, that video in China a few years ago, remember that one?
Yeah,
where that one blew up too?
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, there was that guy, like, in I want to say it was like an apartment complex, like the ground floor, about to open the door and go outside. And the blast just hit him, and you could see it on the CCTV camera. I mean, he was, like, disintegrated, I'm assuming. The building was fucked, but, you know, when that happened, I think the government they found out at the end it was from, like, them sneaking in, like, military equipment, some shit like that. Like, missiles, bombs, they were, you know, stealthily moving them around. I don't know the details, but it'd be interesting to see if this was something like that, you know, but... Fuck, you're right. At this point, we can just fucking make up anything, and that has the same possibility, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would suck to be the owners of that warehouse if,
Shit.
especially living in that country, they don't have the Constitution that we have in this country, although we don't always follow the Constitution in this country, but at least we have something a little more special than other countries as far as liability and criminal and civil and all that. Some of them just hang you just for owning it.
I'm agreed.
Well,
yeah, no, you're right, man.
Guess we'll see what happens. So
We shall see. Yeah, and I was just looking at that. No, go ahead, man.
You called on Friday. Did you happen to catch the rest of the 3 hours? It's like 3.5 hours longer. I didn't expect it to be 4 hours long. It's 4 hours long. We went till 1 in the morning.
Yeah, man. I actually, like, right after I got off, I went and did a bunch of stuff, and then I came back home, and I saw you were, like, my YouTube said you were live, and I'm like, oh, the app's just being retarded or some shit. And I clicked, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's still alive right now. Like, and I got to admit, you got me a couple times on your YouTube. I think you put up live streams sometimes, and it'll be, like, on Tuesdays or Thursdays or some shit. So my high ass will be fucking, like, super excited. We'll call in and be like, oh, shit, like, realize 45 minutes in. But it's still worth it. It made me happy, so.
Yeah, so I changed some stuff on YouTube. Before it was just streaming live 24/7. Now it just streams live whenever we're live. So I didn't see a benefit of keeping it 24/7. So that's the difference now. So then everybody knows who looks at that. They're not confused.
Do you stream on Twitch?
No. No, I tried.
No?
I did for a little while, but they said as a community they didn't like me.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's mean.
that was mean. So for a long time on the top of my website, I had the Twitch symbol with a big red circle and a slash through it of all the social media platforms that banned me.
Wow. Yeah. See, you got you're like you have a very open viewpoint, and you allow all voices to be heard, and a lot of people don't like that. They don't like that.
Yeah, and I just as much I agree with you, but I think that's the right thing to do. But they should also be challenged just as much as people are challenging me. I'm challenging other people. So that's where good. I mean, it's not always intellectual. Sometimes it's just straight up complete and utter bullshit, and sometimes it's trolling. But when you can tell, it's a good mixture. You can tell when it's an intellectual conversation or not. Well, do you want to help out? You want to see what the college Marxists are saying?
Shit. Yeah, I was actually listening to that last stream, and I just started when I told you. And literally, like, that girl never expected you to say that. Like, this girl was this girl was talking about how, like, communism's so awesome and, like, just going on. Yeah, like, I was talking to my girlfriend. She just woke up from her nap. So I'm telling her about it. Because, like, this girl was just talking about how awesome communism is. Oh, it's going to cure your cancer, no more hemorrhoids, all sorts of shit like that. And then he's like, oh, that's awesome. So can I opt out? She's like, what? Like, never was expecting that at all. And you can tell her group that she has, it's all, like, same-minded people, same thoughts. Yeah, in college. Like, you're just eating each other's shit.
Yeah, I got her hopes up by saying I agree with her. It was like, I totally agree with you, as long as I can opt out.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm definitely going to use that one. I remember seeing at my university, like, the anti-fascist and, like, just straight up communist club and things like that. And, like, this is kind of interesting. So, like, my family originates kind of from the Middle East, and like my grandparents, like I remember talking to my grandpa when I was younger and asking them like if they liked the Soviets, like well, you know, the country they were in was a part of the Soviet Union, and his viewpoint was yes, they loved the Soviets. And I was like, why? And he's like, they fed us. So, you know, from that standpoint in the beginning, it makes sense. And people here, these kids don't get it. Like, you didn't have a choice back then. It was either starve and die or, you know, eat.
Right?
Yep. That's a good point. Your neighbors are reporting you, like.
Well, we got that today with the coronavirus.
Yeah. What was it, de Blasio? The governor of New York fucking telling people to snitch, we'll pay you?
Yeah.
Paying people to snitch? Oh, man.
It was him and also Gavin Newsom, California.
Uh-huh.
The California governor as well, yeah.
Man, you know, 6ix9ine was on Instagram. He was on Snapchat, that Snapchat story, the map. He was looking at the map, and he was calling in. And that's how he funded his first music video. You heard it here first. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's...
You know, we make fun of that guy, Tekashi 6ix9ine, but he played all of us. He played all of us.
Who is it?
Tekashi 6ix9ine. You know that rainbow-haired kid? You've seen him. The rapper. Or, you know, he got arrested, and then he snitched on everybody, that Treubig gang. Come on, you tell me you gotta have heard about this.
All right, so listen, here's something that everyone, well, people who know. I know nothing about music or television or movies. I think I watch a movie one time every 3 years, and I haven't turned my television on in 3 years. It actually has the vertical lines, and I just turned it off. I haven't turned it back on. And I bought that television, actually.
Oh.
I actually bring this up. I've said this a couple times. That it's a 32-inch LCD HD TV. I bought it like when the flat screens came out. Actually, it had to have been like in 2007,
2003. Oh my God!
When like the
oh man,
when the really good flats, like the LCDs came out, and it was $850, and they're $200 now. I paid so much money for that thing. And I used it as a computer monitor. I used it as a a television with the DVD player, and like it is a great television, and it lasted 10 years. But I don't ever watch it. So yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, when you get some time, you got to Google or YouTube Gummo, Gummo. Okay, just when you're by yourself, just watch that video, and it's his music video, and this is the music video that kind of everyone saw and like went viral. Because I'll give you like the spoiler. It's basically this like whitish looking kid. He's Hispanic, light skinned, with the number 69 tatted all over his fucking face, his body everywhere, rainbow long hair, and he's with a bunch of gang members rapping in the middle of New York. And the whole, like, I guess the plot or whatever, the antithesis, I don't know the fucking word. Basically, just imagine right now if you decided that you're going to be a famous rapper and you don't care about your life, this is Grand Theft Auto, it's a fucking video game. You're going to do the most ludicrous, obscene shit and that you could possibly do to go viral. And this kid did it. He starts saying the N-word, he's fucking running around, he's going to people's, like, quote-unquote hoods and shit like that. Say, oh, where are you guys at? Oh, fucking, I'm in your place. I'm the king of New York. I'm the best rapper alive. And he did all this shit just to get people talking, just ludicrous shit. And he made it. And,
we're not going to be wearing shirts that say, like,
oh, yeah.
HIV positive or some shit.
The guy would wear a T-shirt that says, I'm HIV positive. like pussy nigga, shit like that. Like in the streets, yeah. I don't know if you hear it too, but in the streets of New York, and ultimately he became a famous rapper. He got a song with Nicki Minaj that went on like the charts, like multiple now.
Wow.
Yeah, so he got up to space, but the whole point of this rant, the gang that he was in, fucking the feds end up wiretapping him. They know that they're doing like real gang shit. There was a shooting in New York that they traced back to him. He ends up snitching on everybody, and the prosecutors, like when they charged him, ironically, to troll him, the amount of charges he was going to get was going to add up to 69 years. So they throw him into regular housing with everyone else in New York, and he squeals within the first 24 hours, enters protective custody. You know, everyone in the hip-hop community is like, how will he recover? He snitched, the ultimate sin of hip-hop. But he played us all. And I'll finish my rant. He played us all because now he's in the witness protection program because he testified. So now he got off house arrest too. The U.S. government is fucking making sure he's safe. So now the same way earlier where he'd go out there and talk shit to all the Crips or all the whatever different gang XYZ, he can now do the same thing ultimately with impunity. As long as he's not making a direct threat, the government's going to be fucking taking care of him. The taxpayer's paying for his security now. That's why I say he played everyone, but you definitely got to look into this, man. It's like the meme of you can't even believe it. It's unbelievable.
So I'm looking at when I put in Gummo 69, 69 spelled the number 6 IX, the number 9 INE, Gummo official music video, and the channel is FCK them. It has this video.
Yep,
has 372 million views. Holy shit! I don't think I've seen a video have 372 million views. Like that's that's a view for every single American, and then a few million in Canada. like tens of millions in another country. Like that's almost exactly the population of the United States. That's crazy. That's a lot of views.
Multiple of them. Just type in his name, 6ix9ine, just spelled like just normal, like in fucking letters and shit. And like second video, 501 million. Third, 114 million. 227. Yeah. So he got out of prison because of the coronavirus right around like March, April. The first of it, if you look at that list, there's 4 videos. The second one, Gooba, he released that one first. Right now it says 501 million. It originally was like 800 million. He bought a shitload of views to pump it up there and a lot of ads in YouTube to pump it up, but it now has 501 million views and it's 2 months old. Like,
that's crazy. Yeah. That's a crazy amount of views in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's monetized.
Shit.
That's a lot of money.
What's funny is there's a girl 6ix9ine too, man.
Oh, really?
If you watch that Gooba video, there's a girl in yellow shorts. You'll see what I mean. At some point in the video, she turns around. She has this guy's face tattooed on her face, like some shit like that. Oh no, she has the same tattoos on his face on her face. No, those are real. She has it. Like, this is a girl that got 69 tatted on her face.
Yeah, I don't. Jeez, I could never do a face tattoo. I don't know what people think.
I would love to do it, man, but I
We'll go next week.
Going next week. Yeah, if you watch that video, man, at 1 minute 27 seconds, she has his face tattooed on her chest.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. Jeez, what's up with that shark necklace?
What was that?
The shark necklace. The chain is huge.
Oh. At one point in his first music video, after he got out from snitching on everyone, he holds an umbrella over his face, and then he pulls it back, and it's like the Snapchat rat emoji over his face. Like, he's trolling everyone. He knows he's a rat, but he's still fucking winning.
Man, that's nuts. That's nuts that he's able to do that. I wonder what people are saying in the comments. I always like to read the comments.
Oh,
a million comments.
He trolls, but he played us all, man. He played us all.
Those girls have more operations than my math notebook.
And those girls, man, are you a fan of the diaper ass? The diaper ass?
I have no idea what that is.
Those girls, when you get your ass like that fat, so what they do is they take fat from other part of your body, they suck it out, they shove it up your ass, whatever. But like when you get fat again, it goes to your fat cells. So like your ass will get like fucking huge, and that's why all those girls' asses are like that absurd, and they call it like diaper ass. Like it's when you look at it up close, it looks like they're wearing a diaper.
I don't know why people like altering themselves like that. That's just something that I could never bring myself into. Like, when I was, I think, 18 years old, I was dared to pierce my ear, so someone shoved a needle through my ear. That's the extent of it, the body modification I've ever had. Like, I still have the earring in, but it actually hasn't come out in a long time. Since then.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it just stays there. Doesn't go anywhere. And that's
I hope you change the needle.
Well, I only done it once. Oh,
I'm messing with you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't leave the needle in there.
Yeah, how long has it been there, man? That's a long time.
Yeah. It'd be rusted. No, but I don't know. I didn't even want the ear pierced, but it is what it is. It's there. But I just can't, like, getting face tattoos and stuff. I just think about, all right, what's going to happen in 20 or 30 years? It's not, well, I guess it doesn't matter, does it? You look like shit anyway, even if you don't have it. That's crazy.
It's changing, but, like, on the other side, it's a fad. Yeah. Like, now it's a fad. Everyone's starting to do it.
That is true. I mean, think of how fast things change. Like, no one wears, like, bell-bottom jeans anymore, and that was 40 years ago. So, think about when, in 40 years, when these face tattoos, like when young people look at people with face tattoos, are they going to talk shit about them? And say that's uncool?
Yeah.
That was so 40 years ago.
We could all be old at a nursing home with face tattoos. That'd actually be pretty dope. We could share some stories. We're like 80 with face tattoos.
I was, when I was a teenager and people were like putting subwoofers in their cars and stuff, and I had it too. I had a sound system in my car, and listening to like rap music and stuff. I always thought it would be hilarious that like my grandparents, specifically my grandfather, would listen to the classical music. That's what he grew up on. That's what his parents listened to and all that. And all of the kids that are listening to rap music like Eminem and old Eminem with like Brain Damage and the songs like that, Slim Shady LP. When we're like 70 and 80, you're gonna hear loud music with "Fuck you, Debbie," without me. And you look over at some guy in his 80s. That's gonna be weird,
man. That's gonna be it. Everyone at the nursing homes will be stoned too, out of their minds.
Well,
I
now
can see it, like off edibles. And...
Honestly, it doesn't sound like a bad time. That was kind of fun.
No, but hey, man, think of the thoughts though. All these girls that are just going on like Snapchat, like Instagram, and like that shit. Imagine like your grandma was like a whore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you have pictures of it and videos.
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
oh man, you gotta. There's a lot of people I want to tell you about. You got to look up like Selena Powell, the No Jumper podcast. She's this girl that literally her pride and joy is having sex with as many rappers and men that she can, and basically kind of sort of extort them for money and shit. But she's had sex with like everybody. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, why do people want to watch that?
Oh man,
that's what I don't understand.
I guess with her, it's like it's kind of like the 6ix9ine thing. When you see someone going as like desperate as they can, like giving it their all, it kind of turns heads. Even though everyone wants to see a train wreck, like that's what you really want, you know. It's
I
that.
guess so. I guess you're right about that. That's what people go for.
Yeah. And I mean,
She's just so shame. Like, no shame. It's just interesting to be like, what happened to you? Like, growing up or something, at some point, like, something happened to you where you were just like, I literally want to talk about, like, how I fucked all these rappers, post pictures of me, like, fucking some dude's dick, like, and, like, go and tell, like, she faked a pregnancy when Cardi and Offset got married. She faked that she was pregnant, went like 9 months and lied about like fake DNA tests, was posting this on her Instagram. It's just like you can't look away.
Yeah.
see, they call the technical term for this is clout chasing. That's what it is, and sometimes it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I could see that. I do like watching train wrecks when they unfold. Although it has to be, I guess there are different types of train wrecks, such as like those videos that say watching people die inside. Those are pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're just like, when it dawns on them that they've just been completely humiliated and they didn't see it coming. Like, those are freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. We like watching it. It's entertaining. It's a human thing. It's the same reality TV trash. They moved it over to, Instagram and Facebook,
Yeah. Wow, I just looked over and some of the suggested videos on YouTube was something that that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, buys XFL for $15 million.
He bought what for $15 million?
So what's his name? Vince McMahon created XFL to compete with the NFL, and it failed once, and then he tried to do it again, and evidently it's in auction, and The Rock and an investment firm, Redbird Capital, bought the football league for $15 million hours before it was set to be auctioned.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
That is jaw-dropping.
I know. I had to go look it up.
Man, he stole it. I thought it would be worth more than that. He stole it from them.
Yeah, $15 million is pretty cheap.
And see, now I feel like it might actually work. Because the XFL, I watched the games. They were entertaining, but you could tell the networks fucking hated Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon is a Trump fan.
Well, yeah, and then also with wrestling too. I mean, either you like it or you hate it, and everything that has happened within it. It has its good moments and its bad moments too. I think it's pretty brilliant and what he managed to do with the WWF. Nowadays,
What's bad with it? What's the bad controversy?
Well, I mean, there's been some things that, such as, look at the issues. If you look at the things that happen in the background with the professional wrestlers, let's say Owen Hart, for example, with that whole situation where he fell, it was due to the clasp that was holding him. So safety. There were safety issues, and then also his brother Bret Hart. How, if you look at the screw job, that was a whole behind-the-scenes situation too. So with the Hart family in particular, but certain things like that, just things that happen in the background. Also with drugs, and then now they're really PG. There's no blood. Or they don't want it. If it happens on accident, it is what it is. So, diehard fans love it no matter what. I like the Attitude Era because the shit was just hilarious. Like it was funny to watch. It was fun to watch, and then there was some wrestling, in between, which added to the storylines and stuff. They had good storylines, and they did good stunts. But I liked it then. And the way it's been described by the big profile wrestlers in the Attitude Era was that they were going for broke. They went all in, and they said what they said, and they did what they did to just go for broke. It was all or nothing, because wrestling wasn't really a big thing until Vince McMahon took it, and then they just kind of rode with it. And now I think that they really want to pander to everybody, and in doing that, it doesn't have the attitude and the spark that it used to have in the late 90s. So that's just... And then you also go back even further than that, with the 90s into the eras before that. It was pretty much the wrestlers figuring it out themselves. Like Mick Foley, he did the barbed wire, and then also with the explosions and stuff in the ring. Like Mick Foley, I have so much respect for Mick Foley for the abuse that he willingly put his body through for entertainment. It is nuts what that man did.
He wore the plaid, right? The plaid something, red plaid.
Yeah, he was Mick Foley. He had a few different names. He actually had a bunch of bits with The Rock, because he would wear a sock on his hand, and they call it the Rock and Sock Connection. And so he had a bunch of personas, and then also when the Hell in the Cell with the Undertaker, where he got thrown off of the top of the cell. Like, that is nuts. And then that same match, he was thrown through the top of the cell because it broke when he got choke slammed. Like, what he put his body through is just nuts. And I know this because, I watched it a lot when I was a kid, and I liked it then. I haven't watched it in years and years and years. I like that YouTube exists because I can go back and watch those episodes that were freaking hilarious. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though you can say what you want as a wrestler, like he couldn't do like the wild flips and stuff like that, especially after his back was broken. But when it came to riling up a crowd and working the microphone, like he knew how to do that in his own unique way. So that is also what's fun too, is because doing what I'm doing here, there's a lot that's relative to what they would do on the microphone too, is they would have to use their voice and use emotion with their voice, then what I don't do is they went into a ring and actually had to do what they said. But I find it a very interesting concept all the way around with professional wrestling. Not so much nowadays because it's so corporate now that like they have man, I forget what it's called. This is how long it's been. I forget what it's called, but they have like a whole way of getting into the WWE. Now that's what it is now, where they have like a whole television show where people come and compete and train and try to get into the WWE. It's all corporate now, PG, and I liked it when they went for broke.
Yeah.
Those were the best times, and before that too, looking at old wrestling in the 80s as well. So I don't know where we got into that. Oh yeah, with Dwayne, with The Rock is now the owner of the XFL. I think that's where Vince McMahon went wrong, is that he brought the WWF into the XFL at the beginning. But the reason why it went under, and I remember when Vince McMahon came out and said, we're thinking about starting up the XFL again. What is your opinion on it? So here's what happened according to Market Watch. Johnson and Redbird Capital bought the decommissioned Football League for $15 million hours before it was set to go to auction. The deal was first reported by Sportico. Okay. So let's see. After signing a major broadcast deal with ESPN and Fox, the XFL was forced to cancel the remainder of its 2020 season due to the coronavirus pandemic. Boy, I bet Vince McMahon was so pissed off. I bet he had to be. I bet he put his fist through a fucking wall. How old is he now? He's old, but man, he's kept himself in shape for a long time. I'm sure he could still punch a hole in the wall. Teams only played 5 games before the league suspended play. The XFL filed for bankruptcy on April 11th, shortly after laying off most of their employees. So that's pretty much why. It was the coronavirus that did them in.
Yeah, man. And shit, I'll tell you on all this, like, wrestling, I grew up in like the 2000s era as a little, that shit's made for little boys, man. Like, fucking, you love that shit as a little boy. That is the fucking funny shit. You talk about it with your friends, like, holy fucking shit, I can't believe. I remember The Rock and NWO, like, with Hulk Hogan when he came back.
Yeah.
And that, like, just blew all of our minds. But the XFL, like, this last time around, I think they really were doing good. Like, I agree with you. The same mistakes that they made in the beginning, the mistakes that they made in the beginning with, like, having it with the WWF, totally agree. That was wrong. They were trying to, like, and that was that era, though. Like, I don't know, if you played video games growing up, but there was a game growing up I remember, like, NFL Blitz. That was it.
Yeah,
so there was Madden football that's like regular. Yeah, Madden football is like regular football, like you play in high school and whatever. But NFL Blitz, you can just beat the fuck out of each other, and like as a little boy, you just love it. And that's what Vince McMahon, like, he milks off that and make you just love it. And it's fun, it's entertaining. But this time, like, that XFL was doing so good. I remember. I mean, I can only account for myself and my friends, but in the beginning, it was like, oh, we'd miss a game and then hear about it and miss a game. And then by, like, the last, like, 2-3 games, I was watching them all. Like, it was entertainment. NFL season's done. Like, shit, it's kind of like NFL and college. College sometimes is more entertaining. These are more like real human beings instead of freak of nature athletes,
Right. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And those, you're talking about, Mick Foley again, man. Dude, the body to go through all that shit. And, like, I think with Vince McMahon, I mean, shit, this is just me. I feel like now they can't do it like they used to, though, because it's, like, blatantly obvious these guys were juicing like hell. Like, now you're going to have the PR. I mean, Twitter exists. Like, back then, like, I remember moms would say, oh, you watch your son watch that? Oh, it's violence. They'll replicate it and, that type of bullshit. But nowadays, it's like moms can say that or someone can say that on Twitter. It goes trending, and now the whole company's literally in threaten to exist.
Yeah.
You know, think about these companies that get canceled. It could happen so quick, man.
I think more or less it has to do with the head injuries. I mean, look at Chris Benoit. When he took out his entire family and cleared himself, in a murder-suicide, that really kind of... What is being blamed is... Well, he's blamed for it, obviously, because he did it, but they looked at his brain, and all of the headshots that he took over the years, they think played a role in the decision that he made that day to kill his family and himself. So the head injuries, especially in football too, that's becoming a big thing. That's taking a big toll on these companies and these sports franchises as well.
Absolutely, man. And I had a really big head injury a little while ago, put me in the hospital. After that, watching these guys play football or boxing especially is what gets me. There is no fucking way in hell I would do that. Mike
Tyson
can win a fight, but these punches that you're taking. Oh shit! Well, I mean, dude, that guy's a freak of nature, man. That scorpion tattoo or whatever tattoo, that will guard you from everything.
He's coming back. You know that?
There's no way. He's just saying that, man. He's 50.
He said he's coming back.
Man.
He said he's entering the ring again.
That guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome, though. I love him. He's a character, man.
Connor
He bit off a man's ear.
Mike Tyson says
he said,
there will be police involved if he decides to fight Conor McGregor. Wonder what he means by that. They're gonna have the cops are gonna have to break it up, huh?
See, pre-2020, man, I never believe it. But where we're at now with all the wacko shit going on, I want it.
Well,
I want to see that fight. I pirate everything. I would pay for that shit.
Mike Tyson has a podcast, and he's been saying on the podcast for quite a long time that he's not going to go back. He doesn't want to do the violence thing anymore. And then just out of the blue, out of nowhere, I'm going back. He's been saying he's not going back for years. But I guess he is going back.
Hey, man, it's the lizard people.
Yeah.
It's the lizard people making sure we don't go crazy. It's the CIA. Yeah. They want to entertain us while they go in, what is it? NASA's guarding the ice caps, and they're doing some alien shit. What's the theory? All of them are on house arrest right now, so we all got to be on house arrest.
I have no idea.
Yeah, dude. Ellen DeGeneres supposedly on house arrest. It's some conspiracy theory. I guess, I don't know, some child pedophile, the Pizzagate stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I know of it. Whether or not it happened, I don't know. I mean, just like when going down the 9/11 rabbit hole, I wasn't there. The official story versus what I saw happen looks fishy. But I wasn't there, so I can't tell you what really happened. I just know that I don't believe everything that everyone says who contributed to the official story, because I mean it's not going to be with.
I'm convinced 100% the buildings never existed, man. I'm convinced they never existed. Yeah. They weren't there.
They weren't even there. Yeah, it was a hologram.
Yeah, they fucking came in at 9 o'clock. They dumped in all that rubble, and George Bush came. But, well, I mean, besides all the racist political bullshit, how ironic is it that George Bush's dad gets fucking tactically schlonged by Saddam Hussein, and then, fast forward, 16 years, whatever it ended up being, homeboy, his son, ends up becoming president and just ass fucks Saddam Hussein into the ground. Shit.
Mike Tyson's last opponent, Kevin McBride, calls for rematch. Oh, that's according to TMZ. Or I guess him on TMZ.
How old is he?
I have no idea. Let's see.
Dude, are we going to see two dads duke it out?
Let's see. Mike Tyson is 54 years old. Jeez.
Wow. 54. Yeah.
And
see, my dad's like 60, and Mike Tyson's in way better shape than my dad.
Kevin McBride is 47.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Yeah. That's crazy. I don't know. If I was Mike Tyson,
they need to get some of the...
If I was Mike Tyson, I'd sit it out. I would just, I would take the title, because the worst thing that can happen is now he's going to add to the history books of boxing, and they're going to say he made a comeback and got knocked out. Like, if that happens, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I don't know if that's the best thing for him. I think he should just take his legacy and just go for hobby.
Yeah.
Maybe go boxing as a hobby, not the main event.
Yeah, and I didn't think of it, but you mentioned a good point. Like, he could never... Imagine if you got, like, you're just in a friendly boxing match and you guys, like, you know, whatever you call it, boxed or fought, scrimmage, whatever, and you ended up knocking out Mike Tyson. Like, if Mike Tyson gets into a fight with someone, he always loses, because if he beats someone up, it's like, oh, you're Mike Tyson. Of course you beat him up.
Right.
But God forbid if you lose. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh. And that's why I say he's probably doing it for the money, man. He's got that weed business. Like, you know, him just getting his name out there will just get up sales, you know?
That's true. That's true. There is a lot of drama around the main event. Maybe he should just choose people he knows he could knock out, not... I don't know. He's not that way. He's up for the challenge. So, it's going to be interesting, to be honest, the whole thing. Hey, you want to see if we can find a couple Marxists on here and have a chat with them?
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, dude. Shit, I don't know. Oh, like a group thing?
Oh, yeah. They can hear you. You can hear them when I go filtering through.
Oh, I'm always down for a threesome, dude. I'm down.
All right. Are you?
Yo.
Hi.
Yo.
Hi.
You a Trump supporter?
Biden 2020.
Hey, fist pump, dude.
Yeah, what about Biden do you like?
Everything.
What policy? He left. He couldn't back that up. Hi.
Does he like how he smells?
Well, Biden likes how Biden smells. I'd assume. Yes, the hello. Oh, college. They never stick around. They're intellectually.
Put it away.
Hi.
Yo.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
All right. So, what's on your mind? What's happening?
You know, I got work tomorrow. Probably a busy day. I got to send a bunch of emails, deal with a bunch of stupid customers. You know.
Cool.
You know the thing. Technical support stuff.
So, are you in college?
Yes.
Yeah? So, are you all for Marxism, communism?
No.
What? Why not?
It's retarded. Communism, Marxism doesn't work, and it's been proven time and time again in the past countries.
What does work?
I mean, honestly, there's really... so far, from what I've seen, there's really no economic thing that's been known to work, but I guess the best thing that we have now is capitalism, I think.
Now, do all of your college goers agree?
Probably not. I don't really talk to many people in my college just because I don't want to deal with like a lot of the leftists. I'm not Republican or conservative. Or let me take it back. I'm like in the middle, but more on the conservative side. But I wouldn't say I'm super conservative, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, but like no, I don't like dealing with because I go to a pretty liberal school anyways, so I don't really want to deal with a bunch of screaming blue-haired women. So I'd rather not deal with that and then be called a traitor to my kind because I'm Hispanic too. So
Yeah. Now, why is it that people think that you have to think a certain way just because you're Hispanic?
they're racist.
So they're racist.
Yeah, I think they're racist. When you generalize like that, that's the definition of racism. It's like saying I need to like Mexican and spicy food just because I'm Mexican.
Okay, so when I get accused of having white privilege, does that mean the person accusing me is racist?
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, I agree with you.
Why? Am I like on a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Am I not supposed to be saying? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, no one can see you. It's only audio, but
Okay,
I'll give
cool.
it to you officially.
I could see.
Yeah, through the phone. He can see you through the phone.
I mean, I don't mind. It's just I just think it's funny.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's the thing I do. I only do audio, and then everything's on a delay. So then if any
If I say
personal
something
information gets put
Yeah.
out, I can get rid of it. But
Cool.
officially, you're live on shitradio.com.
Wow, that's
I'm on shitradio.com. Get it, baby.
There you go.
wow.
How
That's
about
awesome.
that? Right.
So what are you guys doing? Just asking questions to college students?
Well, not specifically college students, but it seems the overwhelming majority of college students have subscribed to communism or Marxism. And it's...
That's scary.
Oh, absolutely. Well, actually, I'll take that back. When I say overwhelming, those are the ones that are talking. I'm sure there's a large amount of people, such as yourself, that don't even want to talk about it because of the reactions you'll get from it.
No, I'll talk. I'm totally down to talk about it. Just because, like, I think. So, I'm not gonna give any personal information just so I won't get canceled, because that's the big thing going on, which is really dumb. But, yeah, no, I always love talking about it because, like, I'll sometimes go onto my campus, and since I'm Mexican, I like to wear like MAGA hats. Making people really mad. I probably shouldn't do that, but it's really funny to do because it's like, oh my god, he's Mexican and he's wearing a MAGA hat. What's even more ironic about it too is that my parents were illegal for like 22 years and they just recently got their papers, so it makes it even 10 times better because I actually know a lot of the process of immigration. And like I just do it just for fun. I don't actually believe in a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump says, but I just like to.
So is it
people off.
true what they say about immigration is like crossing the border? They're calling it concentration camps down there. So if you know a lot of the process, is it really, really hard to become a citizen as the lefty Democrats say it is?
It's not as bad. It's not as hard as they say it is, but it is pretty difficult. So, for example, let's say, or let's take my parents' case. They came here with no visa. They didn't overstay a visa at all. They're actual wetbacks, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but they actually crossed the river. The only way they can get it, and to my understanding, just listening and like being a part of the process, because I'm part of the reason why they were able to do it, is that if you do it that way, there's literally no other way for you to get your papers unless you get banned from the United States for 10 years, which is ridiculous because they've been here for 22 years. They've had 7 kids. I'm one of 7 kids. A lot of us were in high school, but I just graduated high school, so there's 2 below me. They still had kids that they needed to take care of. It's not a feasible option for them to go back to Mexico for 10 years and leave a lot of their kids behind, you know? And even before then, they were trying to get their papers whenever all of us were still in high school, or all of us were still living with them. And it's like, they can't just up and leave 7 kids just to go get their papers, you know?
Right.
And so, other than that, the only way they can get it is if one of their children joined the military, some government job, which is what I ended up doing. I ended up joining the Marine Corps. I got medically discharged, but it was long enough for them. I was long enough to be able to actually do it. I wasn't doing it specifically to get them the papers. I wanted free college, like any other person joining the military at this time. But it was just a benefit that happened. But it is pretty hard for those. I think people who overstay their visa it's extremely more lenient than it was for my parents, but it's still pretty difficult. A lot of the stuff, I don't know that much about that process just because I didn't really have to deal with it. The Dreamer stuff I kind of know about because the three oldest siblings that I have, they were brought over when they were like 4 or 5. But to my knowledge, a lot of it is you have to just be a functioning member of society. You have to just prove that you're not just here mooching off of everybody. Which I will say this, I think it's funny that the left automatically thinks that Hispanics should be on the left, when a lot of the Hispanic culture is very conservative. Like it's a lot of family orientation, or not sorry, orientation. It's really family oriented, very religious based, especially for Catholicism, because I think like the majority of Hispanic countries are Catholics. Very hardworking people. I mean, that's kind of the stereotype for Mexicans that will work for literally anything. But I think this like the conservatives don't know how to appeal to that, and the best thing that they have is the Democrats. But I just think it's funny.
Yeah,
I like being called a traitor to my kind. I think it's funny.
Caller, do you have anything you want to ask?
What do your parents think about Trump? Like, what do your parents think about Trump or like abortion?
So my parents are totally against abortion. They're Catholics, so it's kind of obvious to that. But about Trump, I think they're misled by the media. I think that's a big problem in America right now. Is that the media is it's very quick to zone in on very minute things to make it seem like the other party's racist or the other party's dumb. And I think they get that a lot from the media, so they don't really like Trump. I don't really like Trump either, but he hasn't really done anything bad to like make me think he's a bad president. I think he's an all right president. I don't think he's a great president like a lot of people think he is, but I wouldn't say he's a bad president.
Do you think? Well, here, let me ask you this. We can get into what you think about Trump some other time, but I want to ask you about specifically immigration with the Dreamers and with deporting people who are here illegally. That whole thing that we're hearing. How do you feel about that, and what reforms do you think should be put in place for that sort of thing?
So my thing about deportation, I think it's perfectly reasonable for America to do that, because first and foremost, they're criminals. I mean, I hate to say it, I love my parents. My parents were never went to jail. They never did anything bad. They're always functioning members of society. My dad was the only one working in the family, supported 7 kids, never did anything bad. But he was a criminal. So was my mom. So was my brothers and my sister that came here illegally. But it kind of has to happen, you know. There's really no way around it. I think the thing to make it a little bit better is to, I guess, like, it's kind of hard to do it, because I mean it's a lot. A lot of it goes in the trust of the Mexican government and like providing the correct details. And as everybody knows, the Mexican government's pretty corrupt because of the cartels.
Right.
So it's really no real easy answer to it. I think in a perfect world, obviously doing a more extensive background checks based off of government or the Mexican like police departments. I wouldn't know what they're called. Making sure that these people were not prior criminals. They weren't doing all this. They're not tied to the cartels in any way. You know, like even I feel like this is probably a stretch, but I think like if you have any sort of connection like with immediate family, like cousins or brothers that are a part of the cartel, you shouldn't be allowed to come over here just because of that reason. But there's really no easy answer to the whole immigration process, because it's a lot of it becomes trust, and can't really trust people.
Yeah. Caller, do you have any input? I don't know if he's still there.
Oh, my bad, man.
Yeah, there you
go. No, I zoned out. No, but
right.
I do agree. I do agree with one point that I do remember. This guy and his family are criminals for crossing the border, and I'm just joking. But
no, I'm not a criminal. I was born here. I'm an anchor baby.
Yeah, the anchor baby.
Yeah. No, but like, I mean, in reality, everyone's kind of, the billionaires are fucking the system. I mean, you guys are fucking the system, but it's also one day in everyone's best interest. And I do agree, like, the United States, if we want to, the Bernie Sanders shit, if the left ever wants to actually do that in real life, you have to have a strong border. I mean, you can't go and just give everyone free shit. You'll run out of money. I mean, even the countries they model after, they have tight borders, like Sweden and shit like that. Like, but
we're already out of money.
Switching to, yeah.
Well, that's what I always tell people from the left
Pelosi
that I talk to in college. Is that I'm all for universal health care if we can afford it. And even before this COVID, we couldn't afford it. So there's no point in us doing it because they're just going to tax. I don't know a lot about this, so this is just coming off of like what I see.
No.
So, but I would assume they would tax the middle class more.
I was just at your viewpoint. I just graduated college recently, and I was just in your viewpoint, and I didn't understand universal health care. You hear it, it sounds awesome. Like, dude, of course, I want everyone to be healthy. It's not like I want to say, like, hey, all poor people should die or some dumb shit. But what it does is, think of the DMV. This is the best analogy. Look at the DMV and imagine you went to your doctor's office and it was like that.
Yeah,
I've had family members that lived in Canada that, yep. And the thing is, over there, look up the time to get a hip replacement. In the United States, if you need to get a hip replacement, you can get that shit done in a week. In countries like that, you get put on a wait list and it takes 9 months. That's the difference. And there's a reason why all these rich, Saudi kings and all these rich motherfuckers in the world, they always come to the United States for care. We have the highest quality of care. In other countries, I mean, shit, China, they also have universal health care. But when you're a woman, you're giving birth in a room, in a one big-ass room with 4 other screaming women also giving birth and in labor. That's what you get. That's just what it is. Unfortunately, this shit costs a lot of money. Now, the reason that healthcare is fucked in the United States is because it's all made-up dollars. We've made it so everyone is allowed to get care, which is a good thing, but it comes at the expense of the hospitals know like 1 in 5 people are actually paying for shit, so they bill the shit out of the one person that does, and once again, that person's not actually paying for it. It's their insurance. So they bill the shit out of the insurance. It's the same problem that exists with college housing and, military-based housing allowances on communities where, like, if the military gives out $5,000 for rent every month, guess what? In that area, the minimum rent's going to be $5,000. Everyone's going to charge $5,000. That's the same problem that exists with healthcare and with college as well. The government gives out college loans. It's guaranteed. That's why they bill the shit out of you guys. And,
And that's why the colleges own cities.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think honestly the problem with like my generation, because I'm Gen Z, I'm 1999 is my year date, so I'm 20 years old. I think a lot of the problem with a lot of college students is that they don't really have an actual job. A lot of it's just like pretty low end jobs. I would call it like warehouse jobs or fast food jobs.
I had that too. I come from values of you work for what you want, you don't steal it from somebody else.
Exactly.
So I would work 20-hour days for minimum wage. Like 2 minimum wage jobs, 20-hour days, just to pay the rent.
Well, I think what it is like I was going at. It's like you really haven't. I guess once you're in college, you really aren't paying things, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like you're still kind of a kid, so they don't really understand. Like I live on my own. I have my own apartment. I pay for my own college and stuff like that. So I feel like that contributes to my views. But I can see why someone my age in like a different situation where I've taken out a loan to live on campus, to go to college and stuff like that, is saying, "Oh yeah, free college, free universal healthcare. That's awesome. I don't have to pay for anything." But then once they actually get a job, then that's when they're going to actually start seeing like, "Oh, I'm having to pay for this through taxes." I think that's the main problem with young people right now.
Yeah, that's true. They live their whole life getting everything for free. Then even on the loans, it seems like it's free until they graduate.
Exactly. And I think that's the problem.
And then those people are just waiting for forgiveness.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. No, cause I'm a pretty lucky 20-year-old. I make like 75K a year, which is incredible for a 20-year-old without a college degree. And so a lot of my coworkers are in their 30s. So I think I also contribute that too as well, because I feel like hanging out with older people, I think the right older people, not all older people, but the right older people will have a good influence on you.
Right.
And so I think that's another reason why I'm not as I guess, I don't want to call it dumb, but as left as most people my age are.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess that's what every older generation says about younger generations.
Yeah. No, like it's like my coworkers. They're millennials. I think there's like a cap. I think if you're like born in the 80s, you're most likely a millennial or something like that. And they always blame a lot of the leftist stuff on my generation, which it doesn't really make any sense. When
No.
I think a lot of the majority of all the left stuff that's going on, like riots and stuff, is caused by millennials, because my generation's barely becoming adults now. Like I think I'm on like I'm one of the very early Gen Zers. Like I'm borderline millennial.
Yeah.
And I'm barely an adult. So it just doesn't make any sense. I think it's just them not trying to associate themselves with those people, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything new. In the 70s and 80s and with the hippies and
Yeah.
it's been around, but it's just that it's really loud now.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I don't even know what to think of the whole political sphere now. It's just kind of like dumb in my opinion. I just try not to even look at it because it kind of upsets me.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, like when I see like a really hardcore leftist, it's just like, oh my God,
right.
Why? And then when I see a really hardcore conservative, it's like, oh my God, why?
I find it's really hard to debate both of them, because there's no, such as with, like, there's one kid that was super conservative, and we were talking about drugs and the drug war, and I said, well, we've tried it for 40 years and it hasn't worked, the war on drugs, so we might need to rethink this thing. And he's like, well, you just follow the law and there's nothing to worry about. And it's like, well, that's not what's happening, okay? if
just get a house. Why are people homeless? Just get a house, dude. What are you doing?
Right. So I told him that it's just as hard to talk to leftists who want all free everything, free forgiveness of all their student loan debt, health care for everybody. You can't even talk to them. They're stuck in the belief, just like this guy on the other side stuck in the belief of the drug war will work if we clamp down harder. It's like, how hard do you want to clamp down? We've already clamped down pretty hard on this.
Exactly. It's not working. It hasn't been working since, I don't even know when the whole war on drugs started. I think it's like the 80s.
Nixon 70s. Nixon started it. But I mean, they were.
Hold on. I just want to interject.
Yeah.
I'm about to get off because I got to fucking eat. But I got to interject. First off, drug war, ramp it up. We need to find every pill and shoot it with a gun. The minimum wage, we need to lower it. Okay? We need to take it back down to what it was in the 60s. People made more money back then, so they need to get paid. If they made 10 cents a dollar or 10 cents an hour, people would work like 10,000 hours a week to make that much money, you know? What other thing? Get rid of women's rights again. And you know what? Bring back slavery. I will volunteer. I'm brown. I will be the first. When the first white man that wants to purchase me, he can purchase, and he can pay himself because I'm not allowed to have anything. But with that, thank you. But
Amazing.
love you guys.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Hey, thanks for calling.
See ya.
All right,
That
That was an interesting.
there he goes. Thank you.
Interesting segment.
Well, I'm sure he didn't agree with anything he said. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yes.
We don't know. I don't know. That's just, yeah, I don't like both sides. I just try not to look at it because it's kind of sad, but I kind of have to, because I find myself now that I'm like older. I say I'm older. I'm 20 years old. Now that I'm becoming an adult, like an actual adult, I'm seeing myself having to watch it because it's kind of important in my life because it affects me drastically.
That's the problem with it. It shouldn't. Like what I say to the Marxists that I talk to is that, you know, when they start talking about their fantasy on how they want the world to be, I tell them that's fine. Like, this is what it's come down to, because it's hard to argue with them. I just say, you know what? I agree with you as long as I can opt out. that's where I'm at now, and it throws them off.
See, my thing. What I like to say is, like, as long as it's not affecting me, I couldn't care less. Like, it's just like, if you want to do heroin, I don't care. If you want to do meth, I don't care. Like, it's
now what is affecting me is the gun battles in the middle of the road. Like, that affects me. So this is the problem I have with the drug war, is that people who get into disputes, they can't go to court over, you know, who shorted who on a bag of cocaine. So they take it to the streets in a gun battle. And that's where this violence is coming from. Or who took whose turf on selling drugs. Like, that's what a lot of these gun battles are about. It's stupid things like that. The black market creates this. And if we treat drugs like alcohol and do it like the state liquor agency does with the regulations, then they would have to compete with the government, and it'd probably put a damper on it. What do you think?
I agree with that. No, I completely agree with that. I don't know. I think the war on drug is just dumb, because it's just like,
right.
I smoke marijuana, but like, it's not like bothering anybody. I do it by myself. Like, it's like, if I smoked right now, would it bother you? No. Like, am I doing anything to you? Like, no. If I went out driving, that's affecting other people. That's when, like, because no matter whatever stoner says, smoking marijuana impairs your ability to drive.
It does.
And it affects people drastically. So you shouldn't be, and it's the same thing with drinking. You shouldn't be drinking and driving, which, I mean, I know everybody knows that, but that's affecting other people. And I think that's how it should be with every other drug. It's like, you can do whatever you want. Do heroin, do crack, do meth, do MDMA, whatever. As long as you're not going out driving, affecting other people, it doesn't matter.
I do agree. When you smoke marijuana, get behind the wheel, it does affect your ability to drive. You drive differently. You follow the laws more. You know, you drive the speed limit or 20 under.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, a lot of the left or a lot of the right just doesn't understand that. Because I think a lot of them are just stuck in the past, which is another thing I think which needs to be changed is, I guess maximum age limits for like senators and presidents, because we have a bunch of like, I hate to be that I hate to be the Zoomer to say this, but we have a lot of boomers in office that just don't understand the current world. And if we had just like 40-year-olds or like even 50-year-olds in the office, we would have more people who actually understand the world and how like technology actually works. Because I think a lot of like.
I have a question. I agree with you. I have a question for you as far as things that are happening today. So the taxes that we pay, they go to things like Social Security. And would you opt out of Social Security if given the choice?
Oh, most definitely.
I would too. I would do it tomorrow. I do it right now, actually.
It's like, I guess I'm sort of shooting myself in the foot if I don't make a retirement plan, but since I have a 401k, I already have one and I know I'm saving. So it's like, I don't really need it. And if I can opt out of it, I'll be perfectly fine. Same thing with like, what was the other one? I'm trying to think of another thing that I can think of, but I can't. There's another tax that people do.
Oh, inflation. That's a tax. And speaking of inflation, gold hit $2,000 today. Right now, currently $2,024.80 on the screen. Went up like $8 today. And that's a direct cause. What gold is going to slowly, gold and silver is going to slowly go up in price. The Federal Reserve is printing nonstop, $1 million a second, and now they're supplying the entire world with cash to the friendly countries. That's what they say. With cash, with printing, and that's going to negatively affect your savings by increased prices, and that's a tax. So the way to protect yourself is through precious metals. So that might be something to think about.
Well, I already own like I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, you don't have to say amounts. Yeah,
but I own quite a bit of gold because my brother's a banker and he was telling me he's like he knows all that stuff. I'm not a banker, so I don't know anything. Every time I have a financial question, it's probably not a good idea to do it, but I always ask him about it. Like, oh, what does this mean? Or like,
well, for whatever reason, financial advisors are all against gold and silver. It just kind of blows my mind. I was listening to one on the radio that was here locally. He pays on the weekend. He pays for some time to talk with a host about, what he does as far as preparing people for retirement. And he was going on by, we were thinking about, he was going on what he would do. And he was like, yeah, we're thinking about precious metals, but when it comes down to it, if we don't have $1 anymore, how am I supposed to pay for bread? Do I shave off a little bit of silver or a little bit of gold? It's like you're completely, you don't understand how gold and silver works. It doesn't mean that the dollar is going to go away. It just means that it's going to take more dollars to buy things. So gold and silver maintain their value no matter if the value of the dollar goes up or down. You still get the same amount of goods for the gold and silver that you have, because it's actually money. That's what the gold and silver is, money. Dollars is not. So when gold goes up in price, it's the dollar losing its value. And that's why I don't understand why financial advisors don't understand this.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to like talk about financial stuff because I'm like I said, I don't know that much. I work in tech, and I'm a 20-year-old who spent a bunch of money on a computer that I probably shouldn't have.
So what do you code?
No, I don't. I do technical support for a cybersecurity company.
Oh, cool.
So, it's a pretty easy job, but it's also kind of frustrating because I'm still working in customer service. So you still have those.
Do you ever want to code?
No.
No.
I'm very anti-coding just because it's a very easy job, but I couldn't sit there for 8 hours a day just smacking away on a keyboard.
I do it as a hobby.
Hobby is perfect. I think it's as a hobby, it's pretty cool. But just as a job, I think it's. I would hate to be a monkey just on my keyboard all day, having to go to meetings talking about code, and then later on, just doing the code. It's. I'd rather be a data scientist, which is probably arguably more boring because you're just looking at data. But I think it's more interesting than just coding all day.
Well, I could tell you that you could make your own software to use a database to track and analyze all of the data that you're analyzing.
Yeah, I mean, like I know how to code pretty well. I don't like doing it.
Okay, well, I agree with you on that. I can code. I taught myself how to. I've spent the last 10 years just doing it for fun. I have my own server, all that stuff. And many different languages too, but really more or less it's learning the logic. If you learn the logic, you can pretty much use any language. If you learn how the logic works. So I agree with you. I would never do it as a profession.
It's just too boring.
It is. It's not. And then you have ungrateful people who see what you've done and just like shit all over it. And so you have no idea what it takes to, make an application work. It's a lot of work.
See, and that my thing with customer service is it's depending on who your higher ups are, it can be either a very rewarding job or it can be a very unrewarding job. I'm gracious enough to have a manager who does take notice in what we do. Like if we get, like I think we recently got an email saying like, oh, good job guys, we got like 100% good ratings on all of our surveys this past quarter. keep it up and stuff like that, you know. But a lot of managers don't do that. They'll just be like, all right, why are you like, keep going, it doesn't matter. Like you can sit there on a call for 11 hours and like they won't say anything to you. Like I think one time I got on a call at 1:30 a.m. or not 1:30 a.m. 1:30 p.m. and stayed on it till 11 p.m. That was like a long ass fucking call.
Yeah.
But I got like we have like this thing called like, or I'm not gonna say the name, but where we can send each other points and we can redeem it for actual money. Like 250 points would be $25 or something. And well, I got like $50 from it just for doing that. So
nice.
it feels really rewarding whenever you actually have a manager who does that. It's really nice. But
Yeah.
a lot of customer service jobs aren't like that. And I think that's a really big problem.
So I have a question. I don't know if you have this insider information about is this antivirus stuff?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I work with the corporate stuff, so it's a lot more complicated than antivirus. But specifically, it's more encryption, and if you know anything about it, it's data loss prevention, which is like literally just what it is, like data loss prevention.
Right. So I've always been suspicious that places like McAfee antivirus protection and Norton antivirus protection, that to keep themselves relevant, they create viruses for computers and pass them around so that they can sell their software. All right? I've always been suspicious.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know if my company does that. I hope not. It's kind of unethical, but
it is unethical, but if that brings in the paycheck.
I mean, I don't know anything about. I have no insight about that.
Imagine that. I could totally see it with the way things have been happening lately, with like just bombshells after bombshells of like, wow, that is a lot more corrupt than I ever thought it would ever be. That entity, whatever it is, that a big bombshell of massive fraud of a antivirus protection company hiring a bunch of hackers to hack into people's computers and give them viruses just so that they could sell their software specifically for those particular viruses. Like, I could totally see that happening. Coders would do something like that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know anything about that. I just know my company's pretty good about being pretty transparent about what they do, and I'm very gracious to work with them. They're one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
But I know specifically when they do the little information I know about it is that almost every cybersecurity company has a team where they just analyze viruses all day. Like they'll sit there and just look at it and just implement it into the software. But I don't know anything about that. I hope that it's not existing or that doesn't exist.
Right.
I'm almost like 95% sure my company does that, but it'd be very funny to know if that actually is happening.
So Slayer says that you seem like a cool anchor baby. But he also says, just like a PC tech that infects your PC with a virus set to spread 30 days after it gives you your PC back. I don't know if they do that, but it is possible to do that. I mean, I never ever want to bring my computer. Like, I don't bring my computer to anybody, especially hard drives. I've had multiple hard drive failures, especially in my server. They happen. And I never get the warranty on hard drives. I'm always asked, hey, you want to get the warranty? And, if they fail, then the manufacturer get your data back. No, I'm going to destroy the thing. I'm not giving it to anybody.
Well, I know with our encryption stuff, we have a lot of customers like, oh, do you have a back end key that automatically unlocks everything? It's like, no, it's so bad. Like, why would we ever want to do that? And
wait, but what about all the things with the NSA?
That's different. We don't deal with that. I think
so. That's software creation. That's not encrypting and protection.
I don't believe so. I don't quite know that much about the way NSA. I know they do get back-end keys from companies. Like I know the whole scandal with Apple.
Yeah,
I hope that happened, but I don't know if they did that with our company. Yeah, no, it's. I don't know.
It's hard. It's you got to be weary of all of it.
Yeah, and like I've grown like after working in tech for about a year and a half, because like this is honestly my very first real job. Before this, I worked at Office Depot, and then before that, I worked at a Walmart warehouse, and so this is like my actual like white collar job, and it's been weird with like working in tech because after like dealing with a lot of this stuff, almost every single piece of software gets your data. And at this point, it's going frustrating to try to combat that. So I just don't even care anymore. I just like, whatever, take my fucking data. If you want to see what type of porn I'm watching, I don't care, dude.
Well, yeah, you can set up a VPN.
That too, yeah. But a lot of another thing, VPN providers also collect data too, depending on which one you use.
Well, you could buy a server and put it in a data center, and then do the VPN, and then you could. Through that VPN, you could tunnel through proxies into other servers. Then you can even go into like the dark web and proxy around in there and come back out to whatever porn website that you'd like to go to. That's a lot of work just for some porn.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like it's really hard to like combat data gathering because almost literally everything. And then on top of that, the Patriot Act. Like the NSA is gonna capture your data anyway. Yeah. So I mean. There's really no way around it.
Until Linux comes out with a phone.
Exactly. Well, I mean, technically, Android is Linux.
Yeah, but they're running Android software. So you'd have to root the phone, and even then, you're still having to get into the back end.
I think Ubuntu has a mobile OS.
I'm looking. There are Linux phones coming out. They're just not widely available right now, but they are coming out.
Everybody wants an iPhone. Well, everybody wants an iPhone, so.
Oh, I don't. I want a Linux phone. I'll put a SIM in it. They could GPS it, whatever. But then there's no backdoor to Google. It's Linux. It's all they have is GPS location.
So getting on the topics of phone, are you an Apple guy or an Android guy?
I never went to Apple. I didn't. And the reason why was price, because for a long, long time, I mean, they're still expensive. I mean, now I can afford them, but I couldn't a long time ago. So I just stuck with Android because it was cheap, and with Windows because it was cheap too. But I guess the first computer I had was a Windows 95. Doesn't know what an MP3 is. But at school, they had the Macintosh. That was probably the only Macs I had, was the old single-unit Macintosh computers that took floppy disk, and that's it.
See, my thing with Apple, and a lot of people in tech will probably disagree with me, or I think. But like I think with the appeal of like iPhone specifically, it's just super easy to use, and that's why I never had an Apple device before other than this iPhone. And this is my very first Apple device ever, and I was a very stout anti-Apple guy until I got this phone, and now I'm like, the phones are alright. Everything else kind of trash. It's just the phones are pretty overpriced. Like I bought my little sister an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I have my cell phone now, iPhone 11. They're fucking expensive. Like I think I paid $1,200 for my sister's phone. But it's super easy, super convenient. I mean, unless like you're constantly doing a lot of things on your phone, like adding SIM cards or adding different SIM cards, adding a bunch of SD cards, doing a bunch of all this tech stuff on your phone, there's really no need to get an Android. But at the same time, like you said, it's super cheap to get one. With Apple, it's super convenient. Everybody has one, so you create this network, which is how Apple reels you into their products. Because once your entire family has a Apple phone or Macs, it's like, oh yeah, why don't I need to get it one too, so I can FaceTime them. We can have group FaceTime, and it just kind of reel you in with all the software. But I think my thing is just iPhones are probably the best thing that Apple's put out. It's a pretty decent device. I think MacBooks are absolute trash, and they're way overpriced for what they're actually meant to, like what they like for their specs. My mom was thinking about getting one. I was like, no, don't get one, please. Please. You're not gonna even. Cause she's gonna ask me, because I'm the tech savvy one of the family, and she's gonna ask me for help, and I don't know how to use Macs. I mean, I know how to use Linux, and it's pretty much the same, but like, yeah. I'd rather not learn the differences between them two.
So I'll tell you what I set up as far as phones go. I set up my own VoIP server. So
Really?
I bought, so like kind of like where you work, you know how you dial an extension and it gets the office next to you? It's the same way. All of our houses have an extension, and then I buy a DID number, just phone numbers, and I route them to the server, and then in the server I route them to specific extensions, so then each extension can have a phone number. And they're really cheap. They're like $3 a month, unlimited calls with call waiting. And then outgoing, for like $20 a month, everybody uses the same outgoing, so all outgoing calls, they're not using an extension, they can make a call out into the world, and I hide the caller ID. When someone calls the caller ID back, it says this line has been disconnected. It's video too. So they're like $300, and they're like desktop phones, and they have a camera on them, and it goes through the server I set up from extension to extension, and we can conference in. So all of our houses, we can video conference in, and it's not being watched. It's private. And that's the whole idea of having my own server, is that it's not being recorded. So therefore, it's not even the server I own. I leased a virtual private server, but none of the video is being recorded. So therefore, there's no actual video, and they can't log into the VPS server because they don't have the password to record the video. So they have no idea. They just know that I'm using processing. And if they shut it down, they can't get in. So it's pretty much private because there's no recording. And that's the route that I've gone as far as private communications with family. It's just the communication just always interests me. That's something that I do. Like what we're doing now, this is on my server. I broadcast to my server. My server records it. My server broadcasts it to everywhere else. Like communications is very interesting to me. So that's kind of the route I took to be more private. And the software is free. You can find free VoIP software, and it's easy to install in Linux. Relatively easy. You kind of have to know a little bit of what you're doing, but that's kind of the route I took. And there's also phones, or there's an app like LinPhone. LinPhone's open source, and you connect to the server. Then you can assign an extension to your phone, and then you can use it through your phone. And then it also has an option for VPS. So or for what's the other I'm like drawing a blank. VPN, there we go. Has an option for that. So then, it's encrypted, the entire communication. So yeah, it's very interesting, and I like that better because then there's no monitoring of calls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would probably do that if I put in the time and effort, if I wanted to. But
yeah,
I probably won't. It's just I'm a very lazy person when it comes to things, and I just I would want to do it, but I'm probably never gonna do it. It's just like it's like I was telling my girlfriend, like, if we ever move in together, I'd want to have like a media server in our living room, just so we could do it. But I know for a fact I probably won't do it just because I'm so lazy.
Well, once you do it, then it's done.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of how I felt about it. Like I will never unhave this server because I like it. It's great. I can make outgoing calls anonymously. Like I love it.
Yeah, that sounds actually amazing. I might look into doing that. So I've never done that. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. It's very interesting.
Here, I'll give you. There you go. There's the name of the software. Look that up.
Cool.
I don't want anyone who wants to know can go to my website and private message me, and I'll tell them.
So what was the podcast or the radio called again?
Shitradio.com. It goes to TreubigShow.com, which that's where I'm broadcasting. And you can log in. There's a chat room. Hugo the commie signed up after he's a Frenchman.
Ah, okay. I see how it's going. Okay. All right, that's pretty cool. This is honestly the most interesting conversation I've had on Omegle ever. I think
Really?
the only other thing that's been more interesting, or two things have been more interesting than this. A guy in a pig suit who goes into the college. I don't know if you've seen him before.
Well, was he a fat guy?
Yeah, it's a fat guy in a
Yeah.
pig outfit. I don't know if you've seen him.
Okay, so I've been doing this for a long time. Actually, I have. I can't believe that it's now been 4 years since this one conversation with this guy on Omegle saying that Trump would never be president. He thought for sure it was Hillary, and it was this big argument, and I was trolling the shit out of him with soundboards and stuff, and while people were having legitimate debates and conversations with them, and it was just a complete mess, but some of the randomness made sense. It's just really funny, and that was 4 years ago. And I cannot believe that was 4 years ago. But anyway, that's when I actually showed video during that time. And that guy has been on here for that many years doing that same thing. Although when I saw him, he was, and when he was actually, I have him on screen too. He was laying on a bed and he had all that. And he wasn't wearing pants. And I think he had to clean it up because Omegle started coming down on people. It seems like with the nudity, they didn't used to as much, but it seems a lot more cleaner and people actually talk now. Oh, that was an accidental bell. People actually talk now, which didn't happen for a long time. I had to quit going on here because people weren't actually talking like you and I are.
Yeah. No, that's what I found whenever you don't put any interest in Omegle, especially if you put the college, that's probably the one that I've gotten the most actual conversations. Because other than that, it's just a bunch of guys showing their dicks. And for a while, I used to troll them. I had one guy. What I would do was stop! This is the penis place. You won't go by unless you show me your penis.
Right.
And I had this guy actually show me his penis. I was like, oh, nice size, nice girth. But I can't let you see these 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
I gotta ban you, bro. I'll do shit like that. But no, I had this one guy. I'm not even, I don't know if I can talk about.
Well, it's really hard to hear you cutting in and out really bad.
Give me 1 second.
All right. I don't know. Yeah, it was like chopping in and out. I could get what you were talking about, but.
Is it better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, no, it's because I use an application called Voice Meter to because I have a Blue Yeti X and it makes it sound like I'm in a podcast. It's supposed to make it sound.
Yeah, I did. It sounded great.
And so no, it's for some reason I don't know why, but it does that occasionally, and I have to restart the application and it'll fix it. But anyways, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about penises, but this is the other experience I've had it. But I had I saw the most enormous penis I've ever saw, and I was just in awe. I was flabbergasted. I don't know if you know what Valorant is. It's a game by Riot Games, and I was playing on it, and I got banned. I got chat restricted for 3 days because I talked about this penis and how big it was and how I was just mesmerized. And I talked to the guy. I was like, "Is this fake?" He was like, "No, it's all natural." I was like, "Jesus, man, fuck, it's amazing." And that's probably the only other experience other than this, the pig guy, that it's been this interesting. Omegle is very, very, very weird. I met my ex-girlfriend I met on here when I was a freshman in high school.
Really?
Yeah, it was a long distance relationship. It was super weird near the end. It was kind of toxic, but it was. I don't regret doing it because I got to go see places I probably would have never went to, like Washington D.C. The girl lived in Virginia, specifically the D.C. area, or I guess it's technically Maryland, but like she lived in like Springfield, Fairfax, something like that. And then she went to college down in Georgia, and I drove all the way to Georgia, whereas in Virginia I flew there. But I don't regret doing it, but it was Amigo's been a very interesting part of my life.
That is interesting. I mean, I'll never have those sorts of interactions on here because, well, you know how I came off when we first started talking.
Yeah.
It's typically the only time I ever come on here is when doing this because it's more or less bring up a topic. What are we going to talk about? And then it's like a conversation that usually, well, I mean, ours has been good and that happens sometimes, but a lot of conversations just end in just disaster. And some of it is my fault too. Like I'll troll the shit out of people, such as when I see someone with a Trump tag, you know, or I try to read them really fast and then go the opposite and just talk the complete opposite. And it gets really interesting when they actually believe me and then they start talking to me as if the opposite belief of them, and then it gets kind of weird for me. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. Omega's pretty weird. For a while I used to never put tags. But then I started putting like band tags. But since I'm a hipster, I listen to obscure bands. Nobody would ever put them on there, so I would never meet anybody. Yeah. So it was like random anyway. So I just started putting like college. I put like my university on there. I put like advice, I think is what it was, because I met this girl who was like Slavic, and she was like, yeah, my boyfriend raped me, but I don't know if I should break up with him. And I'm like, excuse me? Wow. I don't think that's a hard decision.
Right.
And like I sat there for like an hour talking to her, and I'm like, dude, you should just break up with this guy. And I was like telling her, like, it's like most guys want sex, don't get me wrong, but like when it gets to the point where like they're forcing you to do it, it's like, all right, you know.
Yeah, it's time to leave.
Yeah, it's time to leave. And I was like, I'm sure you're a very beautiful woman because the Slavic women are fucking beautiful. I don't know if you share that opinion, but I think so. I think, or I'm not gonna go on with that, but I think beautiful Slavic women are beautiful. And I'm sure if I didn't have a girlfriend, I would totally fucking go out with you just so you can break up with this guy.
Right.
And she was like, oh my God, no, oh my God. And I got a Snapchat, but I don't really do anything because I have a girlfriend.
Right.
But it's been pretty interesting experiences on here.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten more interesting than it used to be. It used to be, it used to be cluttered with dicks. And I think they cleaned that up because it's a complete 180. It's actually, I come on here for a couple hours and don't even see a dick. And before I had to, especially when I showed video, I had to click the video off of the screen and then wait to see what the video was and then turn it back on every single time. Because of that. But yeah, it is definitely interesting. I thought it would be more politically charged, but I think the coronavirus kind of beat the shit out of that. I think it would be more politically charged now if the coronavirus wasn't around. That whole situation, along with the protests and everything that's going on this year. With the rallies not happening, it's just been a really dampered year.
Yeah, I don't. It's just overall this like the past decade has just been so so weird. And I was talking to my friends about this. I was like, I've always wanted to be a part of history. Like I wanted to live through a part of history. Since I'm so young, and now that I am, I'm like, fuck. I wish this happened later in life, so I wouldn't have to deal with it when I'm young and I'm wanting to do shit. Because now I'm fucking quarantined, working from home all fucking day since March. I can't do fun shit like I used to.
Well, I think that they should just leave everyone alone. To be honest with you.
I agree. No, I think what they should have done is just left everything open and just be like, oh, let's encourage people to wear masks, and if they don't, well, you're kind of screwed.
I mean, to me, there's no provision in the Constitution that says unless there's a pandemic, you have rights.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if people who wanted to stay home, maybe we make special accommodations for those people, but who, were susceptible, but everyone else who didn't want to stay home, then they don't stay home. I mean, you just got to let people and places choose what's best for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm reading the chat on your thing, and I was watching somebody say that's pretty good gibberish rap. Yeah, I'm known to. I don't know if they're talking about me. I think it's. I do I ramble a lot and I talk really fast, and I'm not like Ben Shapiro where I can actually articulate words correctly. So I just end up saying some random shit that that most people can't really understand.
What about Tech 9?
Tech 9?
Yeah.
I'm not as fast as he is. But I know I'm watching this. I saw another guy. It's Slayer454. This guy must be a college indoctrinated libtard cuck. Which I don't know where that guy got that from, because I'm very far from a libtard.
I don't know if that was Joe.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's me, but I'm reading the chat. It's pretty funny. I gotta watch this more often. How often do you do this? Is it like every day?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I wasn't able to do it yesterday, so I'm doing it today. So I'll be on tomorrow.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
9 p.m. Eastern.
Ugh, Eastern
time.
I actually like the East Coast a lot. No, I live in Texas.
Texas.
Yes, I'm a Texas boy. I'm Texas Hispanic.
I like a lot of the laws in Texas, except for the gun laws. They're not as free. You would think Texas is like gun-toting place, but it really isn't. They have some of the
it is and it isn't. Like the laws are not gun-toting, but
the people are. Yeah.
And almost everybody you see, like, that's why nobody ever. There's really not. I mean, there's crime here, but there's like not like a record high like in California and stuff, because just everybody has guns. 'Cause you're not gonna fuck with people like in the rural parts of Texas where literally everybody has guns.
Now, one thing I do like, I'm in Ohio, so one thing that we don't have here, Ohio is a stop and ID state, which Texas is not. And in Ohio, to require an officer, or to require you to give an officer identification, in Ohio, they need reasonable, articulable suspicion, which is far less than probable cause. But in Texas, you have to be lawfully arrested. So they already have to have probable cause. So you don't have to ID unless you're arrested in Texas, which is great. I like that. That's Fourth Amendment rights.
It's the greatest state in the union, I always say. I always like making fun of people from California. Like, I had this one girl who was from California, and she told me that. I was like, ugh, gross. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
She's like, why? Well, where do you live? I was like, I live in Texas. She was like, well, that's a grosser state because it's just a bunch of Republicans. I was like, yeah, is that why a bunch of California people are coming over to Texas?
Right,
It's like,
they are. They're leaving in droves.
Exactly. And I always bring that up, and they're like, well, whatever. They'll just immediately skip me.
Now, I would move to Texas from Ohio if Texas adopted Arizona's gun laws.
I can agree with that. Yeah,
Arizona, you don't need any license to carry a gun. Now, from what I understand, to conceal as well, any gun, any weapon. What I understand about Texas is that to carry a handgun, you need a license to carry a handgun. They went all out on the handguns situation. Yeah. A rifle you can carry, but just not a handgun.
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure about the pistols, any of the handguns, because it's just like I'm 20, so I'm not even allowed to buy any. So I haven't really looked into it. But to my knowledge, I think it's just license to conceal carry is all you need. I think you could just still carry it around. But I might be wrong about that.
So you're gonna get a birthday hand cannon when you turn 21?
Yeah, I actually ordered a Colt Python.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm gonna order that. My November 10th is my birthday, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go to a bar.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're still open, and fucking take a bunch of shots of tequila because I'm a Mexican.
With your mask on.
No. I'm gonna go in there, guns blazing with my handgun.
So you know what I do when I'm required to wear a mask somewhere? Like I go in places without one, and then if they say, "Oh, it's private property," so if they want it, then it is what it is. But then I just go in with a welding helmet.
Well, no. Recently, the governor put out I wouldn't say an executive order, but like they made it to where you have to wear masks now, and literally everywhere.
Right. It's like that here, but I just don't comply.
Yeah. Well, right here you have to comply because there is officers walking around. Most officers won't fine you. Like you're supposed to get a warning, and then after your second warning, or after that, you get a $250 fine. But there's been several counties here in Texas that just said, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to keep a database because we don't have the manpower nor the necessity to do that.
Yep, same here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, Butler County, the sheriff actually made that known on television during a press conference, saying, "Don't call us for the masks. We aren't doing anything." The sheriff said it. We're not doing anything about it. We're not going to enforce it. If the health department wants to put a little yellow light on top of their car and go around enforcing it, they can do that. Which I thought was funny that he said little yellow light specifically, so then they didn't put red and blue lights on their car. I thought that was funny, but yeah, there's places here that aren't going to enforce it. No one has, as far as I know. Nobody has enforced it. I go into the gas station all the time. No one says anything, and like 30% of the people don't do it anyway.
See here, well, they do enforce it. Almost everywhere enforces it. Like they'll
really?
be like no mask, no service, and it's
but that's their decision. They like no one has to serve you.
Yeah,
even with a mask on.
Exactly, and so I'm always complaining about it because I mean I don't want to because it's literally every business they will tell you no, we're not going to give you anything, you have to go outside and put on a mask again. And so I was like, all right, so I just comply with it. It's whatever. It doesn't really bother me. I even got like one of those really thick ones, and I go running a lot, and I like fucking with the Republicans on here because they're like, oh, masks, they can cause you to pass out. And I was like, bro, I go running with my mask all the time, and it doesn't do anything to me. It makes it probably a little bit harder to breathe, but it doesn't make me want to pass out.
Right.
Like I could probably see if you have an asthma or something, and you're going running, but you're probably already having breathing troubles anyways if you have asthma and running.
So that's what I don't understand is that they make exemptions for eating, drinking, so if I just like constantly eat,
what can they do?
Is it exempt? I don't know. The whole thing is stupid. The whole mandate. They shouldn't be able to do that.
I agree. Yeah. No. I totally agree. I think like I said before, I think the way they should have handled it was not to really do any of the lockdown or forced mask. I think they should educate everybody and be like, hey, we recommend you wear masks, but you don't have to, obviously. But if a business says that you have to wear a mask, and you have to wear a mask if you don't want to be in that business.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's their discretion because they own the place.
Yep.
Now, I have yet to be, well, I can't say that. There was one place that I went to but this was a while ago. And I had to go. I had to get a piece of equipment. But I went in with the welding helmet, which they weren't happy with that either. They wouldn't let me in, and I asked, is that a barrier to entry? Is the mask? They said yes. So I left. I called around and I couldn't find what I wanted. It was a mixer, a mix board, and I couldn't find what I wanted. And then I look over. I'm like, oh yeah, I got my welding helmet. So I tossed the welding helmet, went in, and they were following me. Can we help you? Can we help you? I didn't say a word. I went straight to what I needed, and then I walked right around them and went to the checkout line. I didn't say anything to them. I've yet to go into a bank. I've gone into auto parts store, gas station, music store, grocery store. I haven't gone into a bank yet. Although I was challenged by the guy in the auto parts store. He was like, yeah, try going in a bank with that. And I said, challenge accepted.
I I don't. I think my brother works in a bank, one of the biggest banks, and like he tells us like they don't even like it's the same thing. They just won't service you if you don't wear a mask. And so
Good. I got a welding helmet. They can't see anything, all the way back to my ears. They can't see anything except for my eyes. And even that, it's one of the old school welding helmets where it's a dark lens that flips up. It doesn't auto darken. So it's the old school ones. I could make it completely dark. Where no one could see anything. And then I have my hat on and it's backwards. All I see is like the back of a head. Like the little portion of a back of a head. If that's what you want, that's what you get.
I agree. All right, brother. Well, my girlfriend's calling, so I gotta.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for hanging.
I will. I'll make sure to check out the radio more often now.
Sounds good. Thank you. Log in if you want to. You can fake all your credentials. There's a chat room in there too.
Cool.
On this website.
See you later.
All right, later, man. There he goes. All right, I do have to run. 855-873-8244. I appreciate everybody who contributed to the show today. Definitely. Treubigshow.com, a.k.a. shitradio.com. Let's see here. Rob a bank with a COVID-19 file. Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was a while ago. Since we're talking about banks. I read the wrong statement. He seems like a cool anchor baby, Slayer says. Right there on the screen. All right. 855-873-8244. TrueBigShow.com. I appreciate you listening. I got to run. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Have a good night. I'm out. Peace.
The True Big Show. TrueBigShow.com.
The True Big Show.
So what's the point?
The point of what?
Are you making a point?
A point about what? You said, what's the point? That would imply... Are you saying, what's the point of what I'm saying?
No, I'm asking you. I mean, you're asking me. You're responding with a question.
You're asking me. You're using too many pronouns, man.
No, I'm asking you. What's the point?
When you say what? The point to what?
I'm asking you, what's the point?
I know.
You're
totally
responding with a question.
I totally understand what your point is. I heard the sentence. I'm saying, please please explain what you mean by these words.
I want you to
elaborate.
I want you to expand on what you were saying.
Of what?
I want you to expand on what you were saying.
About what? Specifically what? We're talking about a lot of things.
Well, now I can't remember because you asked so many questions.